This is what it was like to try to race the entirety of the 24-hour endurance race at Glen Helen solo. Something that few people will ever get to experience since most people end up crapping out along the way. Prep for this race started a few months before the race when I realized I was feeling very strong physically and mentally and had all the confidence in the world that I could really race the whole race this time instead of going down for an accidental nap like last time. What a freaking disappointment that was. So I put out some calls for support, and oh, support I did get. I was basically given a full ride. The bike was free, the gear was free, all the parts and modifications I could ask for were free. My race entry and even my crew was paid for by all you wonderful supporters. The stars aligned, etc., etc. I could not ask for a better situation to be in. But as the race day came closer, I started feeling pretty overwhelmed because all that support was counterintuitively a ton of pressure to be under. I mean, come on, I'm just some goon with a mediocre YouTube channel. I shouldn't be up for this crap. Anyway, it had me feeling that I better really put it on out there for the people and organizations that had my back, because I couldn't even imagine what I would say or do if I managed to screw this one up. The night before the race, I could not sleep worth a dick, and that has not happened before a race in years. So I just chalked it up to being extra excited for the event and straight up just laid there, tired, but tried to just enjoy that excitement because it's not something I've been feeling a lot of lately. When the race kicked off, the pace was really fast. Everyone in the Ironman class seemed to be really moving out there. It didn't seem like anyone was holding anything back. I'm not crazy fast like that, so I was pushing to keep up and just not get left in the dust. But even though I was pushing, it felt like I had it in me to do so I didn't get too concerned. I just decided I'd keep going fast as long as I felt like it wasn't ruining me. Then, just a few hours in, I had a bike problem where the starter quit working. I didn't freak out about the problem because I knew whatever the problem happened to be, we had the resources in our pit to get it fixed. Even if it meant swapping batteries off a charger every couple laps for the rest of the race, that was going to be okay. But I did proceed with caution for the rest of that lap because my bike didn't have a Kickstarter, so I didn't want to end up stuck in the wrong spot because that could actually be really bad. The issue ended up taking multiple attempts to fix as we attacked the bike with soldering irons, scrap wire, and ape-like precision. We thought we had it fixed, put it back together, it wasn't fixed, rinse and repeat a couple times until we had a working solution. And that did set us back by over an hour. This type of setback should be quite frustrating, but stuff like this happens at every endurance race. At this point, I get it. It's just the universe throwing me a bone so that I don't end up with a boring story that's just, well, we showed up, went fast, had a good race, and did really well, cause that would be lame. But that setback did set the stage for the struggle. Now I was way behind where I wanted to be, and the heat of the day was encroaching upon us quicker than a trip to the restroom after Taco Bell. It got up into the 90s while I was trying to gain back ground, and this is when shit got rough. The situation and the heat really started to coax out the little quitter thoughts that say things such as, oh yeah, you know, it might be more advantageous to just slow up and cruise until this heat goes away. But I knew that was a load of crap because I was pushing and seemingly not making up the ground that I needed. So slowing up would have meant losing even more ground, and there was no room for that. But damn, do those thoughts start to sound really convincing when you're struggling and feeling like you're melting. At some point, I pulled into the pits, looking like a train wreck, clearly frustrated that I wasn't making up ground even though I was trying so hard to. So my friend Stuart gave me some practical advice for this piece of crap situation. I don't remember the exact words, but I remember the point. The point was, if the physical brutality of the situation was dragging me down this bad, then yeah, I needed a new strategy, but the new strategy shouldn't be to go slower to try to save energy. The new strategy should be to go faster while still expending the same energy. So my task was to go out there and start picking apart my riding and looking for easy ways to go faster that don't cost anything. Look for better lines, look for places to get on the throttle earlier, stay on top of the shifting to keep the bike singing in the power band, try to get to higher top speeds on the straights, drop banana peels in front of other riders, etc. Focusing on that was key. I didn't suddenly become faster or anything, but as I kept my focus on doing that, I was getting just a little bit faster. and a little bit more efficient here and there without working myself any harder. Over time, it started to really turn into some good momentum, which helped me gain back confidence, gain back some ground, and get back some positions. Before I knew it, the day was cooling off and the sun was setting. With the heat out of the way, I started to recover physically and felt more energetic again, which turbocharged the momentum I had already been building. It felt really good to know that I was still fully in it going into the night, and the intensity of the night racing was so fun that I got lost in the enjoyment of it for hours while I just brainlessly slammed out lap after lap. During that time, I made up a ton of ground, and I was back in the running, but late at night, I again started to drop dead. My hands and feet were going numb, my muscles were becoming painfully sore, and my right leg was starting to do an annoying, painful locking thing. I came into the pits to stop for fuel and a drink, and my friend Stuart was the only one awake, and he said something along the lines of, "Dude, you just need to go, 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 because you're within reach of the podium, so just go and just keep going and don't come back here until you're in third place." So I knew what I had to do. I just had to activate that Terminator mode and just hunt it down. No stopping, no more thoughts given to the pain, podium or bust. It did suck. As much as I tried to just put my head down and ignore it, it really hurt. But having that simple, clear task right there in front of me made it possible. It was as simple as do this, achieve that. I had the lap times, I just had to keep laying them down. I remember making the pass for third and thinking, beautiful. Now I just need to make the gap. The next time I came through the pits, Stuart was like, "Hey, you're in third, but you need to put a gap up, so just go." Homie totally read my mind. The physical pain at that point was getting very intense. Every muscle was not just sore, but felt like it was dying. But I just kept thinking, right now, in this position, with the possibility of a podium finish, with everything on the bike still working perfectly, I just have to suck it up and slog it out, because it could be so much worse. I could be having bike problems on top of the pain like last time I raced this, or just any number of things that could be going wrong that currently are not going wrong. And that kept me moving for a good while to build up that gap. Eventually I had built a decent gap, but I was thrashed. With 2 laps to go, I pulled off on the highest overlook on the course, mostly because I was just spent and needed a second to just breathe and to just not collapse. And I was looking over that goddamn desert feeling so messed up, thinking, why? Why do I do things like this? Yeah, we're on the podium, probably gonna get it, but what is that really worth? And at what expense? How badly messed up am I going to be after this race, and for how long? But just then, someone came up that hill and yelled, "Come on, Gabe," as he raced by. I don't remember who it was, but damn, I needed that, so thank you to that person. That stopped the mental spiraling, got me moving again, and even reminded me of the real why. Why race for 24 hours straight on a dirt bike? Just to keep going. Not because it's some big, macho, badass ultimate test or something. I entered this race just to get out there and see how I would keep going. Because doing that is always a damn good education. I always come out of things like this just buried in new lessons that get me thinking and improving for months afterward. This time was no different. Over the course of that day, the very persuasive little quitter voice popped up in 100 different ways, and every time it was up to me or up to the team to figure out a way to push that sucker back down. This time, I got to experience firsthand the power of having simple, clear goals laid out in front of me. Everyone always says you have to have your goals written out or on a vision board or whatever so you'll be reminded of them often, but nobody ever explains what physically happens when you do that, why that works. During this race, when I was out there unable to gain ground no matter how hard I tried, and my friend gave me just a little thing to focus on or a little thing to aim for, I got to see what actually happens and why it works. It's because when you have that little thing on your mind and you're focusing on it, instead of wasting mental energy second guessing what you should be doing, you take actions towards the goal just a tiny little bit more effectively. But that tiny little bit over time is enough to gain ground and really set you apart, and I benefited from that greatly throughout the race. I probably couldn't have secured the podium finish without that this time, and I'm sure as hell always going to be putting that knowledge to as much use as I can now. I'm always trying to share these little lessons I run across while participating in this sport, so if you enjoy seeing what I'm able to learn from it, check out this playlist that I put together with some of my favorite lessons learned through endurance.